We got to let those cook. We're going to let them cook. However, kind of consensual put out a video today that I think is actually very fitting, given what we just talked about. They put, it's a clip from Kind of Consensual, where Nick and Rich debates anarcho-capitalism. Given what we've been talking about with collective shout, I thought this could be a very interesting video, and it's being done by two of our favorite people. So I definitely think this could be really interesting in terms of explaining what anarcho-capitalism is and hearing the debate between them. So let's check it out. This should be good. So let's go.
Just for the record, for those of you that don't, I do not believe 99 or 100% of the shit that's about to come out of my mouth. I'm arguing from the person Rich is going to be debating's perspective, so I'm going to be saying the things that I think that this person would say from an anarcho-capitalist perspective.
David, remove that part that he just said, and now we're good to go.
Just
this is 100% Nick.
Text failed successfully. Okay, good preface. Very good preface. So Nick is going to be the one arguing for anarcho-capitalism. This should be really good. Okay, I can't wait. And by the way, Columbus, thank you for the follow.
His beliefs.
Yeah, 100% his beliefs.
He told me he's very upset with me and he wants to tell me how he really feels.
So an anarcho-capitalist, in response to what you just said, is going to say the market will correct it. And because there's going to be so many private security contractors that are going to be competing to protect you, that prices will be affordable. And you'll have extra money because you don't have to pay taxes because the government doesn't exist.
What the?
So who takes care of the people that fall through the cracks? Like, what isn't our lower class Americans, doesn't that make up like 60% of the population?
Sure does.
So how
Okay, so it sounds like we're jumping into this particular argument halfway, and I think it's the removal of government, removal of a regulated military by the government, and so now all protection via military and police is now done. The argument is that, you know, you can do military instead of police and military. All defense will be done through private contractors that you will have to pay for. That's what I think. We missed that little preface at the beginning of this video, but that's what it sounds like where the argument is.
how is 60% of the population then going to pay for itself to get policing?
Well, because they're not going to have to pay taxes, and because the market is going to be so competitive that they're going to be able to afford it.
And yes, I know Nick is playing a part, but fucking no. The taxes that come out of people's paychecks in the lower 60% is not going to make up the shortfall needed to pay for private contractors to protect you in terms of law enforcement. While people love to bitch and complain about taxes being taken out of your paycheck, no, Xanax, no, it's bearing in mind, we know that it doesn't work that way. But bearing in mind, just to bare bones this, with the taxes that normally get taken out of your paycheck, for the average person, the 60% low income individuals that was being referenced here, what comes out of your paycheck on taxes is, I'll ballpark it, say $150 usually comes out of each paycheck for taxes. The fallacy that you will be able to pay a private contractor for protection, which would actually end up essentially being a fucking protection racket, by the way, by doing private contractors for your protection in lieu of police and military, that turns into a protection racket in about 2.6 seconds flat. The extra $150 that you would not be paying in taxes will not afford you what you need to pay for a private contractor to protect you, in addition to paying for your own living services and home care and just a fucking place to live. Go fucking work.
Or you can have communities working together to pay for their own police force.
Oh, like how it is now, where communities tax
Yeah,
one another
exactly.
in order to pay for.
Yeah. What do you think the fucking local taxes do? Your local taxes literally pay for your police and fire and ENS services.
Just for clarification, AC is going to be doing a Tim Pool live event, and he's prepping for that event with this practice.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, we knew it was debate. It was debate practice. Didn't know it was a Tim Pool live event. Ew, that might be good. So, well, I mean, Revan, that's a whole different argument that I can make. But literally, what Nick, pretending to be a pro-anarcho-capitalism person, said is that the communities can pull their money to buy private security to police their towns or whatever. That's fucking literally what taxes do now. Your local taxes literally pay for your police department, literally pay for your fire department, literally pay for your EMS services. That's where a good chunk of your tax money goes in the first place. So it's literal and lateral shift, no change.
Goods that they can all get and use
Correct,
together
but
equally.
From the anarcho-capitalist perspective, taxes are bad because they're not voluntary. So it would be a voluntary thing.
So that means nobody's going to pay it. If it's voluntary, that means nobody's going to pay it. If you
Correct.
said, hey, Rich, voluntarily give the United States government 30% of your paycheck, I'd say no. And they'd go, well, what would you like to give us? And I'd say none.
Right, but then you're not going to get protection.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, and so people like Rich or Nick or Eli or any of the unsub guys or the people like them throughout the country that have literal fucking arsenals will go, okay, someone breaks into my house, I'll just gun them down. Exactly. Second Amendment for the win then, so...
Well,
Question. There is 41 million people on Snap. So that's 41 million people, 12% of the total population needing help from the government. So that would just go away instantly.
Under anarcho-capitalism, the government would not exist. So correct.
Oh my God. And they think that would just like, that would.
Yeah, so anarcho-capitalists actually want poor people to starve to death. That's SNAP is food stamps for anybody that is not familiar with the acronym. SNAP is what modern day food stamps are. Instead of actually having stamps, you actually have, effectively speaking, a credit card, and that's what you use to purchase food. Which, yes, SNAP is abused by some homes, but that's what it is. And under anarcho-capitalism, government programs like SNAP goes away. And since there's no government, those poor people that don't have enough money to buy food for themselves or their children would no longer have SNAP, and thus they would starve. Poorer, they would revert to a life of crime and start busting into people's homes, stealing from them, and or killing them in order to get their money and get their food. It would be total fucking anarchy.
Be war. Holy shit.
So hold on a second. So we've got, I want to brainstorm this, right? We've got the Chiquita Banana people, we've got ExxonMobil, we've got McDonald's. They're wealthy, they afford their own policing, right? But they're like not all together. So any country that's already formed and created its own military could just take over their headquarters and say, you're ours now. Sounds like...
Wait, hang on. I was reading something in chat. I need to hear what Rich said again.
Right? But they're like not all together. So any country that's already formed and created its own military could just take over their headquarters and say, you're ours now.
Yeah. Yep.
Sounds like whoever's the biggest bully is just going to win.
Yeah, in theory, yes. So a lot of anarcho-capitalists believe that there should still... This is where it gets complicated, because some anarcho-capitalists are just retarded, and some of them have kind of thought this through, but they're still retarded. So a lot of anarcho-capitalists are still going to say that there should be a military, but there shouldn't be a police force. But let's just stay on the topic of cops, because that's what the debate's going to be about.
Yeah, but his thing is that there shouldn't be a police force at all. I did read a little bit that he said that like all police are stupid or like we're all dirty.
This is what anarcho-capitalists believe. They believe that all police are armed thugs that work on behalf of the government to violate your rights.
Okay, so these are people that have committed crimes and don't like the fact that they got arrested and punished for those crimes, so they think all police are stupid and they should all be abolished, so that way they can literally do whatever the fuck they want and have no consequences. Gotcha. Good. Now we're clear on who these anarcho-capitalists are. They are themselves thugs that want to have the freedom to do whatever the fuck they want with no consequences, never mind if anyone else gets hurt in the process. Understood. Go fuck yourself.
Except for the fact that the rights are what are voted on by the people. So the people create their own laws, and then we decide that with the majority, that's the law we're going to enforce.
But from their perspective, they don't believe in democracy or like collective rule. They think that if there's 20 people in a room and 19 people want to do something, you shouldn't be allowed to force that other one to do the thing.
Well, no wonder they believe in anarchy. They're never going to have a form of government or do anything other than a dirt road.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to build shit.
They don't want,
because everybody else would be stealing your stuff or trying to like.
No, Ryan, it's not. Anarcho-capitalism is not possible. That's kind of the point of this argument, is that anarcho-capitalism is literally one step removed from anarchy. That's what it is. We are basic, it's not like I don't think it will work. It can't work. It literally can't work, because the moment you try to... Okay, think of it this way. You know what the closest we've seen to anarcho-capitalism is? I'd say probably one of the closest examples that I can think of off the top of my head. Not Cyberpunk. That one of the closest things that I can think of in our modern day would probably be like Big Brother or Survivor End. While there are rules for the game, yes, this is not a perfect example. But think about it, the anarcho-capitalism is basically, that's kind of at play in Big Brother and Survivor. It's you have that whole kind of thing where you have groups together, and you get a group that says, okay, we should do this. Like, most of the time these groups are not very cohesive. You've always got these these outliers that are causing problems and fracturing everything, because there's no system of government in place with these groups in these TV show games. You see that it doesn't work. There's always infighting. There's always, they're always downtrodden. Nothing gets done properly. It's not a perfect example by any stretch of the imagination. I fully appreciate that. But in real life, for us, it's probably about the closest real life example that I can think of off the top of my head of anarcho-capitalism at play. It's not perfect. It's not 100% like that, but it's off the top of my head, it's the closest example I can think of.
Hawk it.
Okay, we have a lot of faith in mankind. A lot of faith in mankind.
I've prepared notes. Here's the arguments that he's going to hit you with. Okay, so
start off with one. Let's go with one.
Okay, one
Ethan,
argument.
feel free to chirp in here.
He's going to hit you with cops shouldn't exist because they only exist to protect property rights and do the government's bidding. And the evidence for this is the court case Warren versus DC, where cops technically do not have a duty to protect civilians.
Okay. Oh my God, there's so many things wrong with that. One,
Here we
protect
go.
Property. We protect everybody's property. We protect your property from getting broken into. We protect the streets and street lamps from being, ripped out by homeless people that want the copper. Your property, your car, it was stolen.
Kevin, me too. I have maybe seen one episode of Survivor, and I hated it because the whole concept of it was not teamwork. It was, let's see how many people can backstab how many people. Let's see how many people can betray how many people. It's all about the making of the alliances so we can kick someone out instead of, hey, let's all come together as a team and kick ass so we're not the ones that have to be on the chopping block, and we're going to create ourselves an outstanding fucking team to work together and kick ass. It's literally the whole premise of the show is backdoor deals, backstabbing, secret alliances, and I fucking hated it. Because it literally is the antithesis of what it would be like to survive on a desert island. It is the exact opposite of how you would actually function. And so I hate it.
Ripped out by homeless people that want the copper. You know, your property, your car, it was stolen. Don't you want it back? We've got a lot of shit that can help you get that back, and we give it back to you. That one court case where it says, like, we're not allowed to protect people, I could just throw that out because we have use of force training, Article 35, and I believe it's Tennessee versus Garner is the Supreme Court case, which
No. The court case that he's citing is the court case that
No, I'm citing a different one.
I know, I'm saying
one in opposition to that.
Okay, go ahead.
In opposition to his, Tennessee versus Garner says, I can't shoot a fleeing felon if he's no longer a threat to personnel in the immediate area. So one, I have to protect even the person that's fleeing, which is a felon. And two, I still have to have the safety of the entire community in mind, because if that person is a threat to the community, I then have the authority to use lethal force to protect the community from this fleeing felon.
Right, but so the argument is that you have the authority to do it, you don't have the duty to do it. You don't have the obligation, the legal obligation to do it. So, like,
pretty sure that's fucking wrong. I'm almost 100% sure every public servant, police, fire, EMS, I'm reasonably sure every fucking one of them has a duty to act in the event that action is necessary. It's literally called a duty to act. So I'm pretty sure that's bullshit. But I'll see what Rich has to say. Maybe Rich has can put a more finer point on it.
If you were driving by in your cop car, theoretically, and you saw somebody getting their ass beat, you don't have to stop and save them, legally speaking, is basically what Warren versus DC says. So he's saying that you have no legal obligation to protect people, therefore you only exist to be the strong arm of the government.
So a legal obligation and like a moral obligation are two different things. And I'm sure he'll be like, well, the moral obligation is blah, blah. Sweet. If I drive by a guy getting his ass kicked and somebody goes, hey, look, there's Officer High not doing his job, I'm going to be held accountable by the community, the people, including my department, and I'll probably be fired. So I may not legally be forced to do something. However, I am obligated to do my job, which is protect and serve the community, enforce New York state law, including...
Victor, cyberpunk is not anarcho-capitalism. That's a bit of a misnomer, because the world of cyberpunk still has a military, still has laws. That's why there are police officers in cyberpunk. So it's not anarcho-capitalism. What cyberpunk is it is a capitalist society where capitalism has run out of control. And there you go, Revin. Yeah, it's a corporatocracy. It's capitalism has basically run wild, and the corporations have power that will essentially usurp local and governmental authority, but local and governmental authority still does exist. It's in anarcho-capitalism, there is no government. Government does not exist. The people rule themselves. So it's cyberpunk is definitely not an example of anarcho-capitalism by any stretch of the imagination.
City of Buffalo city ordinances.
So I have a question on this one. It could go either way because it's an honest question. So when we talk about situations like that where you have the legal obligation to intervene, right, as a police officer, isn't there like laws that if you fail to act when you should have acted, that would either end your career or put you in jail? Like, I just shot in the dark. Did the Baldy police officers that failed to act, did they face anything after that?
Yeah, some of them are getting fired. So are the officers that failed to go into the school in Florida that gave us that beautiful, skinny retard. What's his name that Cody always calls it clear? David Hogg. The officers that stayed outside that didn't go in there, David Hogg.
Yeah.
And also, whatchamacallit, the George Floyd guy. They arrested not only the guy that, quote unquote, killed George Floyd, but also the officers that were around him that prevented him from killing George Floyd.
That didn't prevent him.
So failure to act is at least in
failure
the
to
law's
act
eyes?
is a law in New York State and in other states. Where we have a duty to act to prevent other officers from violating other people's constitutional rights, including use of force.
Okay.
Basically.
So in a roundabout way, yes, the example given of if Rich was driving by, if Rich was driving by someone getting their ass beat and he did not stop and go to that person's aid, by that notion, technically he would be breaking the law because of the duty to act. Because if another officer was around, then Richard would have had to have acted, and had he not, the other officer could have arrested Rich for a failure to act, if I'm understanding what Rich was just saying. So yeah, there is still a duty to act.
He's correct on a legal technicality, but it's not in application of how the real world works.
Yeah.
There are outlier instances, but saying that there's one extreme outlier once in a while, therefore you should scrap the whole system is retarded. Like,
his argument,
absolutely it is.
His argument is you can't triple step and double stamp, Lloyd. You can't triple step and double stamp. That's his argument.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like a doctor on an airplane has no legal obligation to raise his hand if they ask if there's a doctor on board, but that doesn't mean we should get rid of hospitals.
No, we should. Anarcho-capitalism. They should only exist for people that can pay it. The only people that get medical treatment are those that can pay it.
Hey, that's what we got kind of right now.
How would charity even begin to exist in an anarcho-capitalist state? You would just have people that would be ripping off the charities. They look at it and say,
my guess is in an anarcho-capitalistic state, charity probably would not exist. Because in an anarcho-capitalist state, it would literally be everyone's themselves. The concept of charity would probably cease to be. You'd have a couple of like good deeds happening every now and again. You'd have a couple people that like would probably try and do good by their fellow man or woman and try and help them out. You would see that in the beginning. Very quickly that goes away. You want a really good example of anarcho-capitalism that I just thought about? It's not a real life example. This is a fictional example, but a pretty good example of anarcho-capitalism. Walking Dead. Walking Dead is probably a really good example of anarcho-capitalism at work. You've got these segregated groups all over, and some of them are good. But even the good ones, you saw the toll taken on continuing to try and be good, and then the moralities got twisted. You have other groups that are incredibly evil, that all they do is try and sucker people into their camp so they can use them or kill them. So I think that probably, if you're looking for a visual representation of anarcho-capitalism in the modern day, that might be, and again, this is fictional, it's not real, but that's probably a really good example to point to of anarcho-capitalism at work is The Walking Dead.
Well, free money.
You're talking about the hospital and being able to pay for it. It was last week, I think. I found it hilarious. They said that America's healthcare is pay to win, and I'd never heard that before.
It's not wrong.
That's basically what they want the police force to be.
Yeah.
Pay to win.
HLC is not wrong. I hate to say, strays in America, he's not wrong. Hospital medical care in the United States is pay to win. Well, and Rebin, that's if you can even get insurance in the first place. If you have no insurance, you're fucked 10 ways to Tuesday.
An honest example of anarcho-capitalism would be the American frontier in the 1850s. Most of the Hollywood examples are Soviet propaganda.
Don't know about that, but okay. Yeah, and like with HLC's example about hospitals, that's why I say that like some other countries, like where they like to bash on like socialism in other countries and say it's tantamount to communism. And it's why I say things like certain aspects of socialism can work if done properly. Healthcare being the big one, where a lot of other developed countries that are quote unquote socialist, not 100% socialist, but they're quote unquote, have healthcare so that citizens, they pay for it through their taxes, but they don't have to actually pay for anything when they go see the doctor or have to go to the hospital. With the US, because healthcare is pretty much pay to win. Yeah, there's a few things there that can help out, like insurance, but what HLC said about it is not wrong, honestly.
Yeah, if you got enough money.
Okay, wait. So you have your they want private police, essentially.
Private police
They want
forces.
private everything.
Because that's how you'll get more
Protection.
honest protection.
Yeah. In their
And
their
then
worldview.
right now it's cops aren't doing a good thing because they're
Because
The
we're
cops
not
morally
beholden to the
bad?
government, but yet he wants private security that's not beholden to the government. I'm confused.
No,
More like private security that's not beholden to anyone. Like, we must not forget, even though private security that would be functioning as the cops, yeah, they get paid, they're still beholden to nobody. Private cops would very quickly turn into a racketeering operation or a fucking protection racket, where it would be, you would have, because now it's the motivations for the police that is actually private security is the motivation is strictly money. So if you got the rich guy in town that is paying them more, you don't think he's gonna, or you got the rich guy in town that says, hey, I'm gonna chuck you a few more bucks if you go run that business out of town for me because they're paying you less and I'm paying you more. And that way I can get that business and I can pay you even more. It's gonna turn into a fucking mob rule at this point if they go that route. Like, the whole concept of privatizing police is just fucking stupid on every conceivable level.
you are
like
you
that's
are
what it's like
beholden to the
morally.
government.
Where is
Ezra,
it morally?
exactly right.
Is it? Does he expect because it's private they're going to be better?
The big thing with anarcho-capitalists is voluntary. That's the thing. They
Wait,
don't. They don't believe. They don't believe that. Okay, so
How's it voluntary if you won't let me create a government?
Huh?
How's it voluntary if you won't let a people naturally create a government?
Every person is basically their own government. So like their whole thing is it has to be voluntary. You have to volunteer to pay this money for this protection from this company.
Yeah, but that's never
what
worked
they
in the
think.
history of mankind. Every group of people
Exactly.
has said,
Bingo.
you look like me, let's get together and farm and then those people across the valley because they're different than us or they smell.
Anubis? It's been a while since I've seen RoboCop, but I'm pretty sure RoboCop was not a privatized police force. RoboCop's police force was still a city police force. They still operated under the auspice of the city government. They didn't work for the corporation. Now the corporation had influence to be sure, not disputing that. But again, we're more into the corporatocracy versus it being a private police force. Owned and run by the OCP? I thought that the OCP just funded and therefore had a significant amount of influence. Not that the police force itself was private. I don't remember getting that impression. Yeah, it's like OCP, like, quote unquote, owned the city because they were the major corporation that basically had everything. But I don't remember. Okay, it was because it was the Detroit Police Department. I didn't think that they were owned by the by OCP. But I could be rough. It's been a while since I've seen RoboCop. It has been a while. So I don't exactly remember. I thought that they were, you know, they were employed by the city of Detroit, but that OCP just had like a, they purchased most of the city, and therefore they had a big stake in it, and they were able to make demands. I don't remember that the OCP actually owned the police. So, but again, it's been a while since I've watched it.
Or they keep attacking us because we've got really good shit in our valley.
Exactly. So Michael Malice in particular came from the USSR. His parents were first-generation immigrants, sacrificed everything to bring him to America, the land of opportunity. Okay, great. He hates communism. You need to keep bringing it back to communism and comparing it to the same thing, because you're absolutely correct. Anarcho or any type of anarchism has never worked, ever.
No.
The real-world example, Somalia. Their government fell in the 1990s. They didn't have a new government for 15 years. You want to know what happened? Exactly what I'm saying. They had privatized security, aka militias, and then it just became who had the biggest warlord, and that was running shit. And that's the real world application.
It
so
took the Chaz all of 1 week to have a warlord with AKs walking through the streets, accidentally shooting people that they were trying to protect from themselves. 1 week in Portland, and it couldn't even work out.
This is ISIS, or a power vacuum would be created because there's no government or law. Then who's ever the biggest warlord is with the most money would take over.
Exactly.
And then put.
I was going to say maybe not necessarily the most money. I was going to say the person with the most guns. Honestly, if all government ceased in the U.S., I honestly don't think it would be who has the most money. It's going to be who has the most guns, and more importantly, who has the most ammunition. That is who is going to be the one taking control. Because money will mean nothing if you can take everything by force via fire. So that's one thing I will disagree with Eli about, like, oh, who has the most money? Nah, don't think so. It's who has power. Yeah, the power is first, and then once it's agreed upon on how money works in this non-governmental system, because let's not forget, if the government suddenly goes away, money means nothing. The minute government ceases to be, money is what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word, but basically, money only works if a government is in place to back that money. So if the government's gone, money will actually become worthless, and that's why I say that it's not going to be about who has the most money, it's going to be about who has the most guns, because it's not even going to be about who has the most resources. Unless you have guns to protect those resources from someone who also has guns, then it's not going to matter. Those resources are going to get taken from you by the person who has more guns, more people and more guns. So you will devolve into an anarchist tribalization society.
Push everyone out. Now you have to hire that individual. They would set up their own set of rules
and or extort you, depending on who they are.
Yes, we've watched it happen literally just recently in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's what happened when they were like, Syria. Oh, hey, we'll get rid of
whoever has the deepest pockets and the most amount of firearms is going to be the one.
That second half, HLC, the most amount of firearms. Deepest pockets don't mean fuck all in this kind of society. Money means nothing. HLC had it bang on with that second part. Who's got the most guns?
Control, and then after that, it's just going to, I have all this now.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to make my own government where it's an autocracy or whatever, and we got the king of Chiquita Banana or whatever, whichever company started the biggest pockets.
It's just going to naturally evolve into either an oligarchy, a monarchy, or another archy where it's a single head that has the most power.
So, a thick ton of city-states. Society will go medieval. You will start having city-states and pocket villages that maybe they're under the protection of a city-state. It will devolve into medieval rule, where you have someone that has power that basically calls themselves king, and they've got the money, or not the money, they've got the power and the personnel that will support them to basically facilitate rule. And so you're going back to a caste system, you're going back to a feudal system, so that there's no capitalism anymore. It's all feudal and all feudal and caste.
So that's exactly what's going to happen, and that's what you need to point out, right? So when he's going to argue, here's what he's going to say when you bring this up. He's going to say that the market is going to have to adjust. So like if one security contractor is doing things unjust, the majority of people won't want to do business with them, and then they'll go out of business, and the market will basically course correct the use of force.
Bullshit, because the security company is the one with the guns. And again, we're going to go into the nice business you got there. Shame if something happened to it. Because when people who have the guns, i.e. the power, you think they're just going to take someone going, well, we don't like the job you're doing. You're going to have to move on. Yeah, they're going to go, I don't fucking think so. I got more guns than you. You're going to keep paying me with what currency, I don't know. And we're going to keep protecting you. That's how humanity works.
That is like a very dumb way of thinking that will happen. Correct. Right? You're like, oh, it'll just course correction. The course correction you're discussing here is hundreds of thousands of lives vanishing because they can't afford to pay anything. Oh, but they don't have a government, so that way they don't have to pay taxes. All right, then what are we using for currency? Mud?
Hello. What did I say? What did I say? Boy, you'd almost think I sometimes know what I'm talking about. On occasion, I actually know what I'm talking about, huh?
We're the barter system. We don't have a government. So gold, whoever controls the gold mines. And guess what? Just like the gold rush in like the teens or like the mid 1800s, you're just going to have a robber baron just show up and be like, this is my land. You're going to be like, no, this is my, pow. So much for your gold. You're dead. You ain't using it. Wait, that's
no, frankly, that is what we're going to use. Chat, this is my decree. We are now living in an anarcho-capitalistic state, and our currency is bits and subs. That is our currency now. Give me all your bits and subs, chat. Give them to me. Tippies. Okay, baby, you're right.
The biggest thing that I have right now, if there's anarchy, who's creating the currency? What is the currency?
Uh-huh.
More than likely.
Okay, so then whoever has gold is going to...
I was joking! Fuck your dog! God damn. Ecumus, your dog, thank you both. Thank you very much, guys. And Goodman, thank you as well. Thank you so much.
Be able to afford shit, and whoever doesn't...
Oh, God.
Here's 200 for my tribute to the kitty.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you, Cramps. Thank you very much.
Okay, so then whoever has gold is going to be able to afford shit, and whoever doesn't have gold is going to be... Which is everybody?
He might throw a curveball and say crypto. They also like to say that.
Oh, sweet. I'll buy one.
Okay. Cool. So you're going to go to crypto. Fantastic. Who's going to be regulating the power plants? Who's going to be regulating the internet servers? If you're going to want to say crypto won't exist in anarcho-capitalism because there will be no internet in anarcho-capitalism. The power companies will shut down because there's going to be no government regulation or oversight. And of course there's going to be no internet because you need power for the internet and you need regulation and oversight on all the server banks. So that don't work. And Nickname and Leo, thank you very much.
1 Bitcoin, please, for $100,000. Are you retarded? The rest of us are going to have to go buy shit coins made by the Paul brothers.
Durahan, thank you.
Destiny's going to have cuck coin, and I'm going to have to buy a bunch of Destiny's cuck coin. I don't want cuck coin.
So, from his worldview, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to hire a security contractor, and then if you have a disagreement, you're supposed to go to an arbitration court to settle it.
So if there's an arbitration court,
There's
is
a
there not
government.
already some sort of government in place? Because
Hello, Raiders. Hello, Undead Centurion. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. How are you doing? How was your stream? You caught us about a little more than halfway through. You caught us right a little bit more than halfway through. We're watching a very funny, although somewhat rage-inducing, back and forth between Nick and Rich, talking about a debate he's going to be having soon, debating anarcho-capitalism versus standard capitalism in the terms of police. So you're a little bit over halfway through, so you kind of missed the funny, some of the really interesting parts about it, but that is currently what the discussion that we're having is, and basically how anarcho-capitalism don't fucking work, and how every argument is actually it seems like every argument on the anarcho-capitalism side is actually dovetailing back into, there needs to be government oversight, and there needs to be government, services in place, so it's pretty fucking funny. Just for clarification, Nick is arguing for the anarcho-capitalism side, but he's just doing it. He's basically functioning as a straw man for Rich to help Rich prepare for this debate. So Nick does not believe anything that he's saying. He's basically just functioning as a straw man for Rich in this exercise. Just for clarification.
So if there's an arbitration court, is there not already some sort of government in place because there's a unified legal system?
No, because it's an arbitration thing. It's like how you can go to an arbitrator for a contract dispute before you go to the court system to officially.
But that's still forming a government. You're still forming a localized government, because if you are going to appoint someone as an arbitrator, that means you have a power structure in this small community that would facilitate the appointing of said arbitrator. So you have a government in place. You cannot appoint an arbitrator without some form of government in place. And thank you, Llama, for the gifted.
So it's like an independent business, and you agree beforehand to just abide by whatever their ruling is.
Good thing that arbitrator probably couldn't be bought by the person with more money.
Hunter, excellent call. Hunter, you called that. Right fucking there. You called that. Bravo. Well spotted before it was even said. Very nice. And Durahan, thank you for another gifted.
To then say, hey, you know what, little guy, you're...
I mean, yes, but the other problem is cool, what happens if guy A and guy B go to arbitration court, and then guy B doesn't like what the outcome was and says, you, I'm not going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
What happens?
What's forcing him to do anything?
Yeah. Exactly.
There's no legal contract that has some sort of repercussion for him not going by his word. Oh, well, people won't like him in the long run, and they won't do business with him.
Sure they won't.
So he'll move to another town. There's no repercussions.
Yes.
This sounds exactly like California. Let me steal less than $1,000. So then it's not a felony, because they're not going to convict or charge me or go anywhere further with the legal system when it comes to repercussions, because it's below $1,000 and no longer a felony. How's that working out for Rite Aid? They're out of business. Rite Aid's out of business.
But Rite Aid could afford to buy a personal security squad.
Oh,
under his
geez.
system.
You're right. And didn't they? Don't they have cameras? Don't they have security?
For the personal security that Rite Aid probably purchased or rented chances are they didn't do shit because the vast majority of security companies will not go hands-on with any suspects or any criminals. If there's criminal activity in a business, security, the vast majority of security is completely hands-off. They're there to function solely as a witness to tell the cops. They're under orders not to try and stop any crimes. So the security is absolutely worthless. They're literally just another, Rite Aid is paying for a pseudo customer.
They would have armed guards.
Oh, okay. So then people would be getting shot over hostesses.
This is exactly what you need to hit on.
Yes.
Because
so we're going to shoot people over stealing a hostess.
Who regulates your version of Blackwater?
Yeah.
Who determines the standards of force? Who determines what's right and what's wrong at a uniform level across the board?
Jimmy wanted to return his Amazon product and got shot point blank in the face because there are no returns at Amazon.
Correct. And then you need to hammer him because he's really big on rights. He thinks that anything a cop does is violating your rights. So you need to hammer on him that he has no authority to establish what a right is because there's no government. Who's granting you these rights?
There's no government. It doesn't mean anything. I can do what I want.
I would say a counter.
I would say a counter
to that potentially could be that, like the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, while it isn't written, those are considered inalienable and given to you by God and not necessarily a government. So he might fire that at you.
Sweet.
Yes, but rights without enforcement are nothing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Listen, God gave everybody the right to free speech, but our government is the only one that hasn't written that they have to protect it. God gave the Chinamans the free speech, but guess what their government is doing? Not, killing Uyghurs and doing stuff.
No, you could absolutely. I was just thinking about this. You could go down that rabbit hole. So let's say, Rich is in charge of company B. I'm company A. Rich says something that.
By the way, he just brings up the whole other thing that they may not even have a chance to touch on. What happens when you get a religious zealot who says, my God of my specific denomination says I get to do this and you can't object to it. You must submit to it because by God has decreed in these ancient texts that I can do this and you have to submit to it. What happens when that occurs? What happens when you get the religious zealots who basically go on a subjugation or killing spree under the auspice of religion? And you have no government or you have no regulatory law enforcement to stop this.
Is offensive to me, and I say he's hurting my business. Now my personal security is going to go and take him out because he's violating my rights.
Exactly.
There's no rules. It's just going to be who's got the bigger gun, the more guys,
that's what I said.
the more money. And
Whoa, hang on.
It's going to be who's got the bigger gun, the more guys, the more money. And then eventually, like I said, it'll...
Unless you're counting, quote-unquote, money as resources. Because in this fantasy world, money has no meaning. It's who has more resources, who has more fuel, who has more wood, who has more supplies. That would constitute money in that situation.
Become either an oligarchy where there's like 3 or 4 businesses that run shit, and then they make you pay, like, was it that song, Sold My Soul to the Company Store? Which instead of giving you cash for something, they just give you tokens to use at their business. Like, we've already kind of lived through a lot of this bullshit that he's trying to describe, and it does not end up well.
Correct.
Now, capitalism with restrictions works, right? You can't have a monopoly, which is definitely what's going to happen in anarcho-capitalism. You're going to have a monopoly. Like, there's going to be there's going to be Ford and Chevy, and it'll be the truck wars. And the Mississippi will split who drives a Ford and who drives the golden bow tie.
He literally wants to replace government policing with mercenaries on your own payroll. That's essentially his stance.
Jesus Christ.
They're not going to be, like, none of those police are going to be held accountable for anything. They're literally just going to go shoot people, and they're going to be like, well, why'd you do that? I'm like, well, I didn't like them. Well, that's Jeremy. He didn't do anything wrong. You made a mistake. He's going to be like, oh, well, whatever. Talk to Barnes & Noble. They own me, and they're not going to give a fuck what you say.
Pretty much.
And then plus, when they own a monopoly, they can just inflate the prices of shit. And now guess what? All that extra tax money that people are saving, they can't afford anything. They can't afford to live. But guess what? It's not a right because there's no government to enforce it. So now you can starve people. Welcome back to the USSR.
You're just creating gangs with an extra step.
It's mafia. It's literally
it's just mafia rule. It's just the
Yes.
cartels.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Also a great example to bring up.
The
when
cartels?
he talks about, private security and protection, mafia, cartels.
Yes. What did I say? I said this way back when. This is literally mafia. This is mafia tactics here. Nice business you got there. Shame if something happened to it. Boom. I am smart.
But yeah, I would hammer him on rights don't exist without force. There's no there's no uniformity to it. Yeah. Because now the entire country and human rights are regulated by company policy, which the people have no input in other than by not giving your business to that contractor.
Which by the way, with whatever they deem is the currency that they can use.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's gold. Oh, sweet. The shit that nobody has because Nixon took it all away. Thanks. Great.
FDR.
What? Oh, did he? Did FDR do that? Really?
Yes.
I cannot wait until Rich debates Tim Pool. Oh, that's going to be fucking amazing watching him deal with that. Rich is going to destroy Tim Pool on this one. Absolutely destroy it. Because Tim's working off ideology, not facts. Yes, Draco. Yeah, that one's the guys helping Rich prep for a debate with Tim Pool. And Nick was basically kind of standing in for the role of Tim Pool on this one. So that was why Nick was basically, quote unquote, debating with Rich on these and why he was postulating these anarcho-capitalistic ideological points. Is he was basically functioning as a stand-in for Tim Pool. He's not debating Tim Pool just be on his show. It sounded like they were prepping for a debate with Tim Pool. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be debating a guest.
AC isn't debating Tim Pool. He's debating Michael Malice. Time
I know who that is
moderating.
Oh, okay. I have no idea who Mike Malice is. No fucking clue who that. Whoever AC is debating, he's going to fucking destroy him. He's going to absolutely destroy him, and it's going to be fucking hilarious. I know it. Ha ha ha.